Okay, hello, my name is Dimas Galang Prasetyo, and today I'm going to talk about poetry. First of all, without getting deeper into poetry, let's know what is poetry. Poetry is the art of creating and sharing imaginative and rhythmic language that express emotion, ideas, and experiences. It is a form of literary expression that goes beyond ordinary language, using words in a unique and artistic way to evoke deeper meanings and evoke deeper emotions. Poetry is characterized by its use of various literary devices and techniques. This can include metaphors, symbols, personification, imagery, symbolism, alliteration, rhyme, and rhythm. These elements help create a distinct and memorable experience for the reader or listener. Poetry has a rich history dating back thousands of years and can be found in cultures around the world. It has been used to celebrate love, nature, and beauty, as well as to explore complex themes such as mortality, identity, and social issues. Poets often use their craft to capture fleeting moments, convey profound emotions, challenge conventional thinking, and inspire reflection. Poetry comes in many different forms and structures. Traditional forms include sonnets, ballads, haikus, and epic poems. However, modern poetry has expanded beyond strict rules and embraced free verse, experimental styles, and innovative approaches to language and form. One of the remarkable aspects of poetry it is its ability to convey meaning and emotion in a cohesive and concentrated manner. Through carefully chosen words and vivid imagery, poets can capture the essence of a moment or idea in just a few lines. Ultimately, poetry invites us to engage with language in a deeper and more contemplative way. It encourages us to explore the complexities of the human experience, connect with our emotions, and appreciate the beauty of language itself. Whether reading or writing poetry, it offers a space for personal expression, interpretation, and connection with others. Next is I'm going to talk about some of the elements of poetry. Poetry has some key elements that make it distinguished from other writing. Some of the elements are imagery. Imagery refers to the use of vivid and descriptive language that appeals to the series, since poets often create imagery through visual, auditory, tactile, gustatory, and olfactory details, allowing readers to form vivid mental image and experience the poem more intensely. Next is metaphor and simile. Metaphor and similes are figures of speech used to compare two seemingly unrelated things. Metaphors directly assert a comparison, while similes use the word like or the word as to make a comparison. This literally divides add depth and layers of meaning to the poem by drawing connection and evoking emotions. Third is rhyme and rhythm. Rhyme is the repetition of similar sound, usually at the end of the lines, while rhythm refers to the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables in a line of poetry. Rhyme and rhythm create musicality and flow within the poem, enhancing its aesthetic appeal and creating a memorable reading experience. Next is structure and form. Poetry can take on various structures and forms such as sonnets, haikus, villanelles, or free verse. These structures provide a framework for the poem, influencing its rhythm, line length, stanza organization, and overall flow. The chosen form can impact the poem's meanings and create a specific effect. Next is tone and mood. Tone refers to the attitude or emotional disposition of the poet towards the subject matters or the reader. Mood, on the other hand, is the emotional atmosphere or ambience created within the poem through the careful use of language and imaginary. Poets can establish a particular tone and a mood to convey their intended emotion or message. Next is symbolism. Symbolism involves the use of objects, characters, or actions to represent abstract ideas or concepts. Poets often employ symbols to convey deeper meaning and layers of interpretation. Symbol can be personal or universal, adding richness and depth to the poem. Next is alliteration and assonance. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of the word, while assonance is the repetition of a vowel sounds within words. This sound device creates musicality, rhythm, and emphasis, enhancing the auditory experience of the poem. The last is theme. Theme of a poem is a central message, idea, or underlying concepts. Theme can encompass a wide range of topics from love and nature to social issues and philosophical questions. Poets explore and develop their themes through various literary devices and techniques, allowing reader to engage and reflect upon the deeper meaning of the poem. So those are some of the elements of the poem that make it distinguished from any other writing literature, any other writing. Next is I'm going to talk about the author and his work. For the Western author, I will talk about T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot was a renowned poet, playwright, and literary critic who lived from 1888 to 1965. He is considered one of the most influential figures in 20th century poetry. Eliot's work is known for its complexity, intellectual depth, and innovative use of language. One of his famous works is The Wasteland, published in 1922. The poem is a landmark in modern literature, reflecting the disillusionment and fragmentation of post-World War I society. The Wasteland is characterized by its fragmented structure, multiple voices, and rich symbolism, drawing from a wide range of mythological, historical, and literary reference. Eliot poetry often explored themes of disillusionment, spiritual crisis, and the search for meaning in a fragmented and decaying world. His writing reflects the anxieties and uncertainties of the modern age, capturing a sense of alienation and cultural decay. Eliot's used intricate imagery, allusions, and dense symbolism to create a layered and a challenging reading experience. Another notable work from Eliot is Four Quartets, published between 1936 to 1942. These four long poems delve into themes of time, memory, spirituality, and cyclical nature of existence. Four Quartet is considered Eliot's poetic masterpiece, showcasing his philosophical reflection, religious craftsmanship, in addition to his poetry. Eliot made a significant contribution as a literary critic. His essays collected in works such as The Sacred Wood and the selected essays explored the nature of poetry, the role of tradition, and challenge of modern literature. T.S. Eliot's work continues to be highly regarded for its intellectual rigor, innovative styles, and profound exploration of the human condition. His impact on poetry and literature. For Indonesian author, I will choose W.S. Rendra. W.S. Rendra, born in 1935, was an influential Indonesian poet, playwright, and director. He is widely regarded as one of Indonesia's most prominent literary figures and a prominent voice for social and political changes. Rendra's work is characterized by his bold and outspoken criticism of social injustice, human rights, and the struggle of the marginalized in Indonesian society. Known for his powerful and evocative language, Rendra used vivid imagery and metaphors to convey his message. His poetry reflected a deep concern for humanity and a desire for social transformation. As a playwright, Rendra, instrumental in the development of Indonesian theatre, he founded the Bangkok Theatre in 1967, which became a platform for experimentation and the exploration of alternative theatre forms. When there are plays such as the struggle of Naga tribe and the blazing for all, were known for their powerful political and social commentary. Throughout his career, Rendra faced censorship and government scrutiny due to his bold and critical voice. However, he remained committed to his artistic vision and continued to speak out against injustice. Rendra's contribution to Indonesian literature and theatre was widely recognized. He received numerous awards, including the prestigious Ramon Magsaysay Awards for Journalism, Literature, and Creative Communication Arts in 1983. Rendra's works continues to resonate with readers and audience in Indonesia and beyond. His commitment to social activism and his artistic excellence have left lasting impact on Indonesian literature, theatre, and society as a whole. Next is the difference between Indonesian and Western works based on social and cultural aspects that influence through the works. So when we're talking about Indonesian and Western works, there are several differences emerged due to the distinct culture and context and influence. Some of the examples are uh, Indonesian poem by Haidar Anwar titled Tanah Air. This poem by Haidar Anwar is one of the Indonesian most celebrated poems reflect on the social and cultural context of Indonesia during the early 20th century. Tanah Air explores themes of nationalism, identity, and the longing for freedom. It reflects the struggle for independence from Dutch colonial rule and the subsequent efforts to forge a unified Indonesian nation. The poem's language and imagery draw upon Indonesian cultural symbols and the sentiment of national pride, emphasizing the country's cultural beauty and the aspiration of its people. And from the Western front example, we have The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost is a classic example of Western poetry that explores themes of individualism, choices, and the human experience. The poem reflects on the cultural context of individualism and personal autonomy prevalent in Western society, which is very different from Indonesian poems that reflects on nationalism and unification. Yeah. The road not taken present a metaphorical journey of decision making where the speaker contemplates two diverging paths and reflects on the consequence of choices made. The poem's language and imagery draw upon Western natural landscape and the introspective nature of decision making in a society that values personal agency and self-determination. This example demonstrates how social and cultural influence substitute themes, imagery, and perspective found in Indonesian and Western form. Indonesian poetry often draws upon themes of nationhood, identity, and the struggle of independence, reflecting the country's historical and political context. Western poetry, on the other hand, tends to explore themes of individualism, personal experience, and philosophical introspection, reflecting the cultural values and intellectual tradition of Western society. Next is how literature today in digital era. Well, literature in digital era could be said has improved a lot because in the past literature was only uh, able to read in big book or in some specific places like library, but now you can read any literature from anywhere through your mobile phone. That's why I believe the literature in digital era has been improved a lot. On the other hand, the unimproved things of the literature in digital era is that number of author the number of author has drastically dropped down because of nowadays people are not into literally literature anymore. There are a lot of people who into more a lot of things like social media but not into literature anymore. So there are some good side and downside on the literary literature in digital era. Okay, so I think that's all. Thank you for watching.